What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected action heroes walks into what should have been a standard late-night interview broken bar only to face a host with an agenda? Tonight, we unravel one of the most volatile on-air confrontations in late-night history when Harrison Ford's legendary calm shattered under Jimmy Kimmel's relentless ambush. The Hollywood air buzzed with anticipation. Harrison Ford, a stoic, timeless, stepped out of a sleek black sedan onto the Jimmy Kimmel Live studio lot. At 78, the icon moved with the effortless confidence of a man who had long since made peace with his legend. Dressed in a simple blazer, he was there to promote his latest film. But Kimmel had something else in mind. The crowd erupted as Ford took his seat, offering his signature reserved smile. Kimmel greeted him warmly, but behind the charm was something sharper. "You look great for someone who's been dodging death on movie sets for 40 years, Kimmel quipped. Ford chuckled. "When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work." Then, the tone shifted. "I found an old interview," Kimmel began, "where you said Han Solo should have died in Empire Strikes Back because, quote, the character had no growth left and was becoming a burden to the story." The crowd fell silent. Ford's smile thinned. "That was taken out of context," Ford replied carefully. "I was discussing story arcs with a film student, not making some big statement." But Kimmel wasn't done. "You've made a career out of roles you clearly don't like," he said. "You wanted Han dead. You called Indiana Jones repetitive. You said Rick Deckard's motivations made no sense." Ford's expression darkened. "As an actor, questioning the material is part of the job. That doesn't mean I don't respect those roles." "But isn't that a contradiction?" Kimmel pressed. "You owe your fame to characters you now distance yourself from." Ford's hands gripped the chair. "Jimmy, maybe we should move on." "Oh, we will," Kimmel replied. "But not before we address a quote from 1997, where you called blockbusters a machine that churns out mediocrity for the masses." Ford's jaw clenched. "That was about the industry and not any specific film or fan." "But you were in those films," Kimmel said. "Aren't you calling your own work mediocre?" Ford's voice dropped, calm and cold. "I came here to talk about my new film and not to relive every misunderstood quote from the last 40 years. Kimmel leaned in. "You've made millions playing these characters. And yet, in interviews, you seem embarrassed by them. Like you're too good for them." Ford sat up straighter. "There's a difference between gratitude and blind praise. I've always respected the fans. But you never hide your disdain for the process," Kimmel said, louder now. "You roll your eyes at Star Wars questions, grimace at Indiana Jones references. You only light up when talking about obscure dramas." Ford stood up slowly. "You know what your problem is, Jimmy?" he said, his voice sharp as a blade. "You mock people who create, who risk, who build something just to tear them down for ratings." Kimmel's smirk faltered. "I make people laugh," he said. "Do you?" Ford replied. "Because it looks more like you make people laugh at others." "That's not comedy. That's cruelty." The room froze. "You're not interviewing," Ford continued. "You're ambushing. You cherry-pick quotes to make your guests look foolish. This isn't journalism. It's exploitation. You can't take a little heat." Kimmel barked. "This isn't heat. This is character assassination." Kimmel stood too. "You act like you're better than the roles that made you." "I'm honest about the creative process." "That's not betrayal, it's integrity." "But you took the fame, the fortune, you then trashed the source." "I never trashed the fans," Ford snapped. "Only a system that values profits over substance." "You're fake," Kimmel sneered. "You've been faking it for years." "You want to talk fake?" Ford's tone turned deadly. "Let's talk about your career." Radio prankster turned late-night bully. The Man Show objectifying women for cheap laughs. Now, ambush interviews masked as comedy. "That's not fair," Kimmel whispered, red-faced. "Fair." Ford stepped closer. "You've spent years humiliating people who couldn't fight back. I may have played roly, but you've made a living out of people's lowest moments. This is a comedy show. This is sadism, dressed as satire. The audience sat stunned. Even the cameras seemed to freeze. "You know the real tragedy?" Ford asked. "You're talented, but you wasted it all on cheap shots because it's easier than creating something real." "I've entertained millions." "At whose expense?" Ford shot back. "You've normalized cruelty. You've made mockery the new standard for entertainment." Kimmel, visibly trembling, hissed, "You don't get to judge me. You invited me. You attacked me. And now you're upset that I didn't roll over." "I've been challenged by great directors, brilliant writers, and not by talk show hosts playing journalist for views." "Get out!" Kimmel shouted, slamming his desk. Ford straightened his blazer. Calm, centered. "You wanted a moment, Jimmy? You got it." He turned to the crowd. "I'm sorry you had to witness this. You came for entertainment. Instead, you saw what happens when cruelty tries to masquerade as comedy." He faced Kimmel one last time. "I hope someday, Jimmy, you learn the difference." And with that, Harrison Ford walked off the set, leaving behind not just an empty chair, but a scorched crater in late-night history.